This year's worldwide celebration is the most important in the history of the game. Why? Because finally, after almost 10 years, the games will be synced up, unified, everything will release at the same time. And this celebration is the turning point for both versions of this game, meaning whatever they're doing for the character selection in this celebration must be very, very good, in my opinion. And in order to figure out just who they might introduce for the worldwide celebration, we're going to start from OG Dragon Ball and go through every saga and movie and giving each of them a rating from 1 through 10 on just how likely they could be to show up during this worldwide celebration. Starting with OG Dragon Ball and specifically focusing on DKP versus Kid Goku. Now, obviously, we just had the 23rd World Tournament happen just for Golden Week 2023, so that wouldn't be likely to show up here. But we haven't had a DKP or a Goku that versus DKP in a really, really long time. So I'm going to give this one specifically a 7 out of 10. And I do think that if they do some representation from OG Dragon Ball here, they actually mix it with yet another saga that would make sense. And the underlying theme here could just be versus. So Goku versus an opponent. So it could be an adult Goku in part 1 with Kid Goku and DKP in part 2. And my other reasoning for thinking OG Dragon Ball might show up sooner than later is because while Daima is not OG Dragon Ball, it is Goku becoming a kid again. And I can see them wanting to do characters in not only Dokkan, but also Legends that is sort of a homage to Kid Goku. Now for this next one, which I'm hoping is a 10 out of 10, is that you guys have liked the video. Why not? Now that brings us to Saiyan Saga, Goku and Vegeta. I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. I love Saiyan Saga as someone who is doing a rewatch of Dragon Ball Z and just watched every episode in the Saiyan Saga, all of them, including the filler. Shout out to Key Moments, link to my podcast down below, Dadadoya. I think at some point we're going to get a new Saiyan Saga Goku and Vegeta. I just don't know if it's at this worldwide, but I'm leaving it at a 5 out of 10 because it could be the thing that is matched up with OG Dragon Ball, or it could be matched up with another versus style theme for worldwide. Now that brings us to the Frieza Saga. I'm gonna actually give this one an 8 out of 10. Now, the LR Goku and Frieza that came out 3 years ago for Worldwide 2021 are definitely ready for their EZA. And while obviously a lot of people are suspecting those will happen during the 10th anniversary, we do have a thing called Super EZAs now. So they will have more than enough units that they could Super EZA during the 10th anniversary and could go ahead and do the Intelligence Goku and the AGL Frieza here for Worldwide 2024 instead of saving those for the 10th anniversary. As far as characters, well, we've had a lot of new mechanics introduced since the last time that these guys showed up, but I think specifically we haven't really seen a Kaioken times 20 type of Goku in this game represented hardly at all. Obviously he's there, but not a ton of representation from this moment in the series, especially not with the better style animations in Dokkan. And of course they could easily do a Final Form Frieza that goes into his full power mode as well, matched up with that. And then those would also link specifically with their 2021 worldwide counterparts, so you could EZA them, link them up. It would be sick. By the way, when I said Kaioken Goku, I do mean that he would also transform. They'd give him a sick transformation into the legendary Super Saiyan. It would be sick, okay? And it could also be why we got a random Ginyu drop earlier this year. Not totally random. I know it matches up with Topo, but then Global got Ginyu quote unquote early, and it could be why they dropped Ginyu early on Global was to make sure that he was available for an impending Frieza Saga type celebration. Now that brings us to our next saga, Cell Saga, which I'm actually going to give a 9 out of 10. I think that we are more than due up for another Cell Saga centric celebration. The last time we had one was Golden Week of 2022, and before that was right here at Worldwide all the way back in 2019 with Gohan and Cell. But here's the thing, I do think it could be a Gohan again, but we've never specifically had a Bye Guys Goku moment that was like very well represented in the game. And now lots of things have changed since 2019. Lots of things have even changed since 2022. They could pull Bye Guys Goku off very, very well with a standby mechanic. So picture this, it's a base Super Saiyan 1 Gohan. You stand by into Bye Guys Goku. He does his whole thing, Cell explodes, does damage. Really, really cool when you take him out of standby. Then, after taking him out of standby, it would be Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. So that is a very easy way to incorporate a Bye Guys Goku finally and having it make sense and being able to truly do the Bye Guys moment justice in Dokkan with animations, actually having him do damage, all of that. And then obviously the pairing of that would be with Cell, because we haven't had a Cell since the AGL one from Golden Week, and we're more than due up for a new Cell. Come on, it's Cell, okay? Plus we just got a Cell Max. It could work well with the Cell Max. It just makes sense. Amatsu, cook. Cell Saga, please. Now, obviously, I've not mentioned a very crucial point for worldwide for either the Frieza Saga or the Cell Saga, but more on that in just a moment, because yes, I do have part 2 theories as well, but we're not there yet. Where we are, though, is at the Majin Buu Saga, which we just had a Majin Buu Saga celebration for Golden Week of literally this year. And so, as much as I would love a new LR Majin Vegeta, the Int one was great. Saiyan Day Intelligence Majin Vegeta was fantastic, but would I love him to be an LR? Absolutely. I'm just not sure if we're going back to the Buu Saga quite this fast. And I do think that we're also due up for a new Vegito and definitely a new Buhan, but I don't think it's here. I think they're saving Big Daddy Vegito for the 10th anniversary, at least at this point. So I'm leaving this one at a 5 out of 10, simply because a Goku and Vegeta type of celebration where maybe we get Majin versus Super Saiyan 2 again, and then a separate part where they're a different form is always possible. Okay, I've got 2 paths here. I could either go Super or GT. Canonically, Super happens before GT, so we'll do the Super arcs first. So Battle of Gods, 1 out of 10. It should really probably be a 0 out of 10, but I'll give it a 1 just for like a weird somehow chance that a God Goku shows up from BOG or a Beerus. Well, let's be real. Saiyan Day God Goku was literally just a year and a half ago, and they nearly exhausted everything for this character with that unit, so I think we're waiting a while for another version of this one. That does bring us to the ROF arc, which I'm gonna hold you guys. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Unironically, I think it has a semi-high chance here to show up, because if they do a part 1 that is a Frieza Saga Goku and Frieza, then I think they could lead that into a part 2 that is an ROF Goku and an ROF Frieza. Now, if you're like, but we just did that, or we just got those units, then I have the unfortunate job of making you realize that the ROF Blue Boys and the LR Golden Frieza came out over 2 years ago on JP. Yeah. Now that does bring us to what I consider really the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, which is U6 versus U7. And I'm going to give this one the highest so far, I believe, a 9 out of 10. Did I give Cell Saga a 9 out of 10? I did. So tied with Cell Saga, simply because I think we are in desperate need of a new hit. And not only him, but a new Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. And specifically Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku from this arc, because our last one was the one from Tournament of Power, so we need a new one from U6 versus U7. And the other thing too is that hit would be great for Super Bosses. Super Boss is in a much better state now than it was when Broly released, but I don't think any of us are going to complain about a new hit, and I'm definitely not going to complain about a new sort of buff for the Super Bosses category. And then on top of that, Goku would of course be a great addition. I won't say buff because superheroes doesn't really need a buff, but he would be a great addition to the superheroes category. And both superheroes and super bosses have been 2 categories that they have been focusing on a lot this year, so it wouldn't be too surprising to anyone to see a U6 versus U7 part 1, or maybe even part 1 and 2 for this year's worldwide celebration. Now that brings us to the future arc, which I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. Anytime that a big celebration is coming up, it would be foolish of anyone to completely write off the future arc, simply because it's the future arc. Now, I know that they have almost nothing left to do from this arc specifically. We just got a Goku Black this year. Last year's entire worldwide was future. I'm only giving this a 5 out of 10 because it is the future arc, and these 2 games, both Legends and Dokkan, love grabbing all kinds of different moments from this specific arc and somehow repurposing them or using them, etc., etc. So that's why I landed on a 5 out of 10. Do I really think they're showing up here? Probably not. Now that brings us, of course, to Tournament of Power. There's some like weird stuff in there between Future and TOP, but it's basically just TOP. They're not doing any other stuff for worldwide. I'm gonna give TOP a 3 out of 10. I wanted to give this a 0 because we literally just got a Tanabata that was transforming UI Goku, and of course LR Carnival Jiren, and then now UI Goku is on global as well. TOP makes almost no sense at all, but if they do a U6 versus U7 part 1, then a part 2 TOP in some form with like a new Kefla, or honestly even a new Goku of some sort, isn't totally out of the realm of possibility. But I will definitely say I might regret this rating later, except not really, because honestly I'll be gladly be wrong for another Tournament of Power like celebration or characters, but I really don't think TOP again this soon is that likely. That does wrap up the super arcs, which brings us to GT, starting with Baby, because we're not counting Rildo is not a worldwide unit. Get off me. So with Baby, I thought about going a little lower with this one specifically because, well, I'm about to explain, but I'm gonna give the Super Baby Saga a 5 out of 10 simply because I really like the GT theories I'm seeing from a lot of people in the community. A lot of people really think GT is gonna show up and be a big portion of this year's worldwide. And while I would love a GT based celebration, I just don't know if it's gonna happen here, simply because we just got the SSJ4 Goku that also goes into full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and that's basically the unit that you would pair up with a new Super Baby unit of some sort. store. So I just don't know if they have enough in the bag right now anyway to do that would feel new and fresh for worldwide to do the Baby Saga, which would then bring us to the Super 17 Saga, which I'm giving even lower at a 2 out of 10. Here's the thing. Super 17 is really cool. He seems like he's had like a resurgence. Like a lot of people think he's way more cool now than back in the day. And I've always thought he was a cool unit. Matter of fact, the internet had to inform me that people didn't think he was cool because all me and my friends thought Super 17 was sick, especially in the games. But the thing is, he doesn't seem to have like big celebration written on him. And that's not me doing that. That's just looking at the game. Because when you look at all the releases of Super 17, he's just been really a normal monthly release, except for that one time that he was the LR at the back end of Golden Week and they made him pretty bad. So I just don't think Super 17 is showing up here as a part 1 headliner for the worldwide celebration. And that brings us to the Shadow Dragon Saga, which I'm going to give a 1 out of 10. I mean, Omega Shenron is barely a year old on JP, not even a year old on Global. They aren't giving us another like LR Omega Shenron this soon, I don't think. I will gladly be wrong about GT here. I love GT. I think Super Saiyan 4, being on the day of the week, is my favorite form in all of Dragon Ball, so I'll take new Super Saiyan 4 units. But the thing with GT is the Carnival LR isn't old at all, and his true counterpart, I think he's going to show up somewhere in the 10th anniversary. So I don't think he's here, and that's how I've got to leave that. Now that does finally bring us to the movies, and we're doing these individually, starting with Dead Zone. I'm giving this one a 1 out of 10, man. Come on, it's Garlic Jr., okay? Like, he's not worldwide celebration level. They barely gave him a side banner unit with a Dokkan Fest Gohan. He's not headlining worldwide. Let's just be real here. Unless they make a crazy villain unit that like uses a bunch of the movie villains, maybe then, but not as his own transforming LR. No way. World's Strongest, 0 out of 10, man. No shot. There is no shot Wheelo is showing up, a free-to-play LR, as a worldwide celebration headlining unit, part 1, part 2, part EX. No shot Wheelo's showing up here. That does bring us to movie 3, the Tree of Might. Now you would think, Nano, you're gonna give this a 0 out of 10. We just got a Turles. It's the Tree of Might. He's not showing up for worldwide. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10, okay? Because here's why. Let me bring out my notepad here for this. Oh, that's right. It's Turles. This game loves what is this game's obsession with Turles? Why? I don't know. But because of that, 5 out of 10. That brings us to movie 4, Lord Slug. Another one that you might go, but Daniel, surely it's a 0. No, I'm giving this an actual 4. Not about even going higher than that, but we'll say it a 4 out of 10. I will say it's not my true feelings. My true feelings are a 0 because I'll believe it when I see it. But the thing is, and the reason I'm giving it the 4 and not the 0 is because for whatever reason, Mr. The Truth DT is like trying to willpower, trying to manifest a Lord Slug in this game somehow, some way. And the universe works in mysterious ways. So just because of that, I'm not giving this a total like no way we're not going to see that type thing. I'm giving it a 4. Now these next two movies 5 and 6, I'm going to lump together. So Cooler's Revenge and Return of Cooler. I'm giving them a 1 out of 10. I thought about going with a full-on 0, but we'll give it a 1 because this was an absolute dream come true for me 2 years ago for Worldwide 2022, where we got a part 1 Cooler's Revenge and a part 2 Return of Cooler. The Cooler movies, besides maybe Broly, are probably my favorites. My thing is there's just no shot that they're revisiting either of these films, especially for the exact same celebration just 2 years later. For Worldwide 2024, I just don't think it would make sense at all. So we're going to give these two a 1 out of 10, which brings us to movie 7, Super Android 13. I'm also giving this one 1 out of 10, only because we literally less than a year ago got a Carnival LR that is the main characters of this movie. We need a new Android 13, fully stand behind that, but I just don't think that we're going to, since they literally just made this a character less than a year ago, going to get this as a worldwide where they have to give us 2 LRs, so they have to give us a Super Android 13 and a new Goku or Trunks or Vegeta from the film. It just doesn't make sense. Now that brings us to movie 8, which is the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. I actually really like the Broly worldwide theory. This has been one of my theories as well for a minute now. I kind of thought they would mix Z Broly with DBS Broly, but then we got DBS Broly for, you know, 9th anniversary. But I think Z Broly is more than overdue for a new LR. And then the main Goku moment from this movie is not represented in like good Dokkan animation at all, which we're running low on like moments we haven't seen animated well in Dokkan. So this seems like one of those that is like prime for the picking, and I have to imagine we'll see very, very soon, or at least sooner than later. Next up is movie 9, which is going to be the BoJack movie. I'm actually gonna give this one 8 out of 10 as well. Couple reasons. First off, I think the same thing that they could do with the Frieza Saga and ROF, as I mentioned earlier, they could easily do with Cell Saga and the BoJack movie, because the last time we got a BoJack and Gohan was all the way back in 2020. So these guys are old, have had no representation in years at this point. So you have to imagine a new BoJack is going to show up sooner than later, and a new Gohan specifically from this movie is going to show up sooner than later as well. Now that does bring us to movie number 10, which is Second Coming, which I'm going to give, just like movie 8 a 9 out of 10 because my DBS Broly theory is completely dead in the water because we got him for the 9th anniversary. So if they're going to do a double part 1, part 2 Broly movie, again, very similar to Worldwide, actually exactly like Worldwide 2022, where part 1 would be movie 8 and then part 2 would be movie 10. So the part 1 could be a Goku, and then they could give us, because they haven't done this yet for movie 8, a base Broly that transforms into the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. And honestly, bonus points to Dokkan if they make him base in that sort of cool blue Super Saiyan hair form. Love that one. And then a part 2 with either a Gohan or a Goten, and then full on just legendary Super Saiyan Broly from movie 10 that is just like the STR LR that we like, the original LR Broly, but just with completely revamped animations. Now that does bring us to Dragon Ball Z movie 11, which is Bio Broly. And as much as I would love to give this a 0 out of 10 because it's worldwide, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Why? Because this is Dokkan we're talking about. Now, I actually genuinely don't think that it's a total 0 because it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if part 1 is either movie 10 Broly with a Gohan, Goten or something of that nature and Broly, and then or a movie 8 Broly and Goku, and then they're like part 2, let's do it, Bio Broly with like a Goten and Trunks. Like, would that really shock that many of you? It would not shock me like hardly at all. That does bring us to movie number 12, Fusion Reborn, and I'm going 0 out of 10. Okay, I'm full on in my fusion theory for the 10th anniversary, and in order for that to come true, I have to accept, nay, manifest that right here, Worldwide 2024 is not going to be a fusion unit. So Gogeta and Janemba cannot show up right here. Now, not to dwell on this for too long, but I think here's my quick little small theory for 10th anniversary. I think since Gogeta was like the headliner, right, he was the face of the app for the 1st anniversary of Dokkan, you probably want him to be involved in some way with the 10th anniversary, because making it 10 years on one of these games is actually a really big deal. I don't know if we talk about that enough, but 10 year, any game really, but 10 years on in mobile app like this, they definitely didn't anticipate to be here probably at the beginning, is a really big deal. So he can't be here for Worldwide if he's going to be there to be one of the faces of the 10th anniversary, which then brings us to movie 13 of Dragon Ball Z, Wrath of the Dragon. 0 out of 10. We literally just got these units. Like, Global's had them for what, 4 months? JP's had them for like 8. There's no shot they're showing back up here. It would be the weirdest move ever for them to show back up. So easy 0 out of 10. That would bring us typically to the next movies, 14 and 15, which are Battle of Gods and ROF, but they were retold as arcs in Dragon Ball Super. We've already talked about them, so it makes no sense to bring them up as movies here, which then would bring us to the Dragon Ball Super movies, which are Broly and Superhero, which again would be 0 out of 10s because they are literally a celebration that is still technically ongoing on Global, or basically still ongoing, just wrapped up. They're not here. That would be also really weird. They did everything from those films, mostly, so I just don't see them being there. But what I hope you see being right here is another Dokkan video that you can click on. I'll see you over there in that one. Bye!